Hi YouTube, it's Cinnamon McCann with the Stiletto series. It's a lazy Sunday and I was hoping to shoot out a couple videos for YouTube, and the Sunday morning turned into Sunday afternoon, which is now we're looking at Sunday evening. And hopefully if I can just get this video done, then I will feel good about myself. So you don't care about my self-esteem that I have for myself. Let's go into the video. This video is discussing things you should know before committing to a print-on-demand company, a POD publishing company. And again, I have my notes on my computer, so I'm going to be going back and forth from you to the computer, and hope you don't mind that. The first thing is that your book may not be in bookstores if you choose a POD company. And there's a couple reasons for that, and you can check out my video on a couple reasons why bookstores don't like self-published books, and that explains the majority of it. But it's not saying it's impossible, it's just saying it is going to be a bit more of a challenge if you do the POD publishing. So check out that video. Number two, online publishing companies are well suited for online, but they're not as practical for bookstore sales. And the reason why I say that is because the book buying behavior is a bit different. When you're online and people on, your Amazons and your online retailers, people tend to go to these locations to purchase a book when they know the author or they know the title of the book. And for new authors, that can be a bit of a challenge because people may not know either. If they're selecting or kind of searching for a topic, they may stumble upon you if you are ranked high. If you're not, you're going to have to do some major online marketing. And that's not a bad thing because a lot of the online marketing is free. You just have to put your time and effort and it can work out. So if you desire to be in bookstores, you might want to go more of a commercial printing type of route versus a POD online printing type of situation. However, if you're okay selling online, which you should be, then it's not a big deal. But it's still something you should definitely know about. Now, with POD publishers, you retain your rights, okay? Copyrights, all that great stuff, intellectual property. However, they retain the file, or they own the file. What does that mean? So let's say you're in a situation where you're working with your POD company and publisher company, and they maybe practice some bad customer service, or they don't respond, or what have you, and you've built this book file, which may include your cover, the typesetting for the internal part of your book, your index, all that great stuff. And you're like, you know what? You all have really been horrible. And you want to leave. Well, guess what? They won't allow you to take the files. And so what it can end up being is a costly decision of you trying to go to another company and then they have to rebuild the files for you. So that's something that you should take into account and know that could potentially happen. But we'll talk about some things toward the end of the video so that hopefully that won't happen to you. Your ISBN number. Some POD companies will give you your ISBN, and it's not that it's a bad thing or a good thing. You just have to determine what your personal goals are. When the POD publishing company provides the ISBN, they are the publisher on record, not you, not your company. So that's important to know, and you have to determine based on your goals if you want to be the publisher on record. In cases when you're trying to get like a certain review, depending on the large company, they don't want to see self-published books. And if you look on the back and see an online POD company, that it screams self-published. So it depends. It doesn't mean you can't ever get reviews. You can use bloggers and a variety of other resources, but it's just something you should be aware of. Okay, let's see. Okay, the cost to print for a POD publishing company is substantially more expensive than commercial printing or going to a digital printer in your town or city. And that's typically because POD companies, and I'm probably going to say this a couple times, they're in the business of selling a service. And so what they do is they get their printing typically from another company, and then they upcharge the fee. So they make money off of you even if you only print one book. They've made money for you off of that, off of the printing fees, as well as the setup fees necessary to kind of start this whole process of this file for your self-published book. So it can be much more expensive, and because it's so much more expensive, that's when we talk about the wholesale costs and how you can't discount it but a certain amount because it's so expensive. The royalty calculations, you need to know this before you sign with a POD publishing company. Each POD publishing company are going to have their own sets of royalties and how much you'll get. Some may be 15%, some may be 10%. Some may even give you a profit after the print, which that's honestly what I prefer. You want to get all of your money after you pay your printing fees. But some of these POD publishing companies don't allow that. So they're still making money off you and basing it off of royalties. And if that's the case, you can kind of go with the traditional publisher if you get paid off of royalties versus everything. But consider that. Look at the various setup and be clear to understand how your royalty will adjust or change if they're not buying your book off of the POD's publisher's website. So for example, let's say you publish with Lulu or Ex Libris. They typically have their own website. And if your customers come to their website and purchase the book, you'll get paid more than if they went to a third party, i.e. Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble to publish your book. Why is that important? Well, let's be real. When's the last time you run to one of these online publishing companies to check out the latest books? It's not that often. Most time people are going to Barnes & Noble or Amazon.com to find out about new books. And if that's the case, your royalty is going to be reduced when you're on those particular outlets. I hope that made sense. If it didn't, just leave me a comment and I'll explain that a little bit more. But understand what the royalties are before you commit to your POD publishing company. You want to determine how your retail price is going to be set up. Some POD publishing companies, they set the retail price, okay? And they may base that on your page numbers, color, whatever. And others, they even charge you to allow you to set your own retail price. And with your product, you have to make sure that you're in a competitive price range with other books in your niche. You don't want your book to be more expensive than other books, especially when you're a new author. There's, you can get celebrity books that are relatively inexpensive, and you think someone wants to pay $35, $40 for your book? No. So determine how the publishing company is going to determine your retail price. That is critical because this is your product. You want to determine price. And so make sure you get all your questions answered before you talk to or before you sign on completely with the POD publishing company. If you don't understand something, ask questions, ask to look at a contract. If they won't allow you to see a contract, then that may scream a problem, okay? Use your favorite search engine and type in reviews for the particular companies that you're considering and put in the current year and last year because their customer service could have went downhill and you need to know that, okay? So it's going to take a little bit of homework. I hope this video was helpful, at least a little bit. And if you have any questions, definitely feel free to check me out. Self-Publishing in Stilettos. You can go to selfpublishinginstilettos.com or leave some comments for me at the bottom, and I'll check it out. Again, Cinnamon McCann, Self-Publishing in Stilettos, the Stiletto series, and thanks again for joining me.